I was in the middle of buying a house and preparing to move when, out of the blue, my mother-in-law dropped a bombshell. She wanted to live with us. Given her history of treating me poorly and making me work excessively whenever I visited, I was taken aback. My father-in-law was passive, doing nothing to curb her demands. It seemed clear she wanted to move in just to make me her personal servant. Determined to put a stop to this, I blurted out an unexpected truth: I'm single. Their shock was palpable, but they responded with hurtful comments. As this unfolded, someone watching became visibly upset. Let me introduce myself. I'm Jessica, 33, working for a large company where my husband also works. We've been married for 2 years, having met at a company event where he pursued me until I agreed. Although we had a strong relationship, his parents were a major issue. Before our marriage, his parents seemed pleasant. However, post-wedding, their behavior changed drastically. They wanted to live with us, which I was firmly against, but their demeanor quickly revealed how far from nice they truly were. One day, while my husband and I were relaxing, the doorbell rang. To my surprise, it was my in-laws, who stormed in without a word and took over our living room. They had a knack for making disparaging comments about me, acting entitled and disrespectful. My husband, feeling obligated to honor his parents as their only child, rarely stood up for me. Despite my complaints, he seldom intervened. Meanwhile, my mother-in-law would make loud and indirect demands, like requesting tea. During their unexpected visit, I had to cater to their needs, preparing tea and lunch, which ruined our day off. This wasn't the first time they had disrupted our plans. They even invited us to a tea party at their place, fully aware that I'd be expected to handle all the work. Fearing the gossip that would follow if I refused, I reluctantly attended. I wished my husband would stand up for us, but I knew better. On the day of the party, we were supposed to arrive early. My mother-in-law scolded us for being late, despite the fact that the delay wasn't entirely our fault. Then, she put me to work immediately while she relaxed and watched TV. I ended up preparing all the snacks, which took a considerable amount of time due to her high demands. She criticized me for being slow, despite never having made snacks herself. Even when I finished quickly, she never thanked me, clearly intent on making things difficult. My husband and father-in-law set up for the party but didn't help with the cooking. Throughout the preparations, she made snide remarks that I tried to ignore. During the party, she took credit for the snacks whenever guests complimented them. It was a painful experience for me, but at least the snacks were enjoyed. Despite not lifting a finger, she took all the praise. To add insult to injury, when the conversation turned to daughters-in-law, she fabricated stories, claiming, "My daughter-in-law treats me like a slave." After the party, I was left to clean up everything, including the room. Feeling like a maid and struggling to hold back tears, I vowed never to return if she called me again. However, the tea party turned out to be a hit and became a regular event, particularly since many praised the snacks. "Jessica, there's another tea party next weekend. You must come." "But I have work that day." "You can take a day off, can't you? Are you trying to embarrass me? If you don't come, I'll make sure you get divorced." She called me out of the blue and demanded my presence. Ignoring my work commitments, her threats left me feeling trapped, and I didn't have the courage to resist. The fear of divorce loomed over me, so I complied, taking days off from work to cater to her tea parties. This constant juggling of work and her demands took a toll on me and created tension at my job. Whenever I brought it up with my husband, David, he shrugged it off, saying, "She doesn't mean any harm, just let it go." He never truly supported me, and I found myself increasingly desperate to escape this exhausting situation. The solution I arrived at was to get a divorce, which meant separating from David. Deciding to divorce wasn't easy. Despite feeling betrayed by David's lack of support, I still had strong feelings for him. I wanted to escape the torment caused by my mother-in-law but didn't want to lose David entirely. A divorce would effectively end our interactions with my in-laws. The only remaining hurdle was convincing David to agree. "I don't want a divorce," David said, clearly taken aback by my proposal. "I can't stand dealing with your mom anymore. You know how bad it's been." "I understand, but that doesn't mean we have to divorce. I love you, Jessica, and I want us to be together forever." "I feel the same way, but I can't endure this any longer. What if we get a legal separation instead? We can live separately but still stay in touch and maintain our relationship." Reluctantly, David agreed. So, under the strain of my mother-in-law's behavior, we decided on a divorce. The aftermath was surprisingly peaceful. The divorce allowed me to change my phone number and model, which ended the relentless calls from my mother-in-law. David stayed in our old apartment while I moved into a new place, effectively putting an end to unexpected visits from my in-laws. Life without constant interaction with them was a relief, but I missed the married life with David. Despite our separation, our lingering affection made living apart unsatisfying. Then, I came up with a daring plan. To prepare for this, I threw myself into my work. After explaining my situation to my colleagues, I regained their trust by dedicating myself entirely. My hard work paid off, and I managed to save $500,000. Ever since college, I had dreamt of buying my own home, and now I was ready to make that dream a reality. I reached out to David to discuss buying our dream house. A house? That's a big expense. How will you manage it? He asked. Don't worry, I've saved up. How about we check out some show houses on our next day off? I suggested we plan a day to visit show homes, and David was genuinely impressed with my savings, which made me feel that my efforts had truly paid off. By the way, let's keep the house a secret from your parents for now. We'll tell them when the time is right, David proposed. Understood. Knowing them, they might complicate things. I agreed. We reaffirmed our desire to get back together and began preparing for our dream home. Over time, we toured various model houses, discussing details like outlet placements, kitchen layouts, and views from the living room. Considering our future children, we kept their needs in mind. Finally, the blueprint was completed, and construction began. As we discussed the budget with the contractor, ensuring it stayed within $500,000, David said, I'm really excited. By the way, have you decided about our plan? For us to truly enjoy our new home, it was essential to avoid interference from David's parents. David needed to either convince them to stay away or sever ties altogether. I'm sorry, but I can't decide just yet, David admitted. You know I'm an only child. Even though I understand all the issues with Mom, I owe her for raising me, and I worry about what will happen to her if I'm not around. While I couldn't forgive my in-laws, I understood David's predicament. Well, it's your decision, David, I said. I bought the house in my name, and since we're divorced, you don't have to force yourself to come here. I made it clear that the choice was his to make. We parted ways that day. With some time before the house was ready, I returned to work and began preparing for the move. Regardless of David's decision, I was ready to face any challenges that might come from his parents. My plans seemed to be falling into place. After a long day at work, I continued organizing for the move. My phone buzzed with a new message from David. Good job, it read. Seeing it made me smile. Things were heading toward the best possible outcome. Eventually, my dream house was completed, exactly as I had envisioned. The finished home underscored the significance of this achievement, but the real challenge was just beginning. Since I had started preparing for the move even before the house was ready, the movers efficiently transported my belongings to the new place. After the move, I visited the apartment where I used to live and where David was now staying alone. As I sat at the dining table in the living room, I heard a commotion at the entrance. The moment of truth had arrived. David brought his parents over to the new house. It's been a while. Haven't you invited us over? His mother complained as they walked towards the living room. Upon seeing me, she exclaimed, Jessica, we heard you were on a long business trip. Why didn't you let us know you were back? I'm sorry, I replied with a practiced smile. I just returned yesterday and didn't get a chance to reach out. Well, it's good you're here now, and I see you bought a house. It's quite spacious. Maybe we should move in with you, his mother suggested, surveying the place. Yes, living with you two would be more comforting, his father added. You bought the house for us, didn't you? I had to suppress a laugh at his father's assumption. David stood by, observing quietly. Please, have a seat. Let's discuss this, I said, pouring them tea. I thought to myself, this is the last time I'll entertain them. So, about the house, my mother-in-law began. You bought it for us, right? I'm looking forward to moving in. But I'm single now, I replied. I hadn't mentioned our divorce to them, opting instead for a convenient excuse about a long business trip. Single? What do you mean? Aren't you married to David? Is this some kind of joke? They demanded, clearly taken aback. Their anger, just as I anticipated, was immediate and intense. As I mentioned, David and I are divorced, so I'm single. The house is in my name, and I decide who lives here. You cannot move in, I said firmly. We never heard about any divorce, and that sudden business trip was suspicious. You've made a fool of us. Watch your behavior and take responsibility, they scolded. You betrayed us and David too. Divorcing you was the right decision. They continued. As I held my ground and reiterated that they couldn't live in the house, my in-laws unleashed a barrage of sarcastic remarks and complaints. It wasn't long before David, unable to contain his frustration, lost his temper. Enough. Stop badgering Jessica and back off. David's outburst stunned his parents into silence. Clearly, they hadn't anticipated such a reaction from him. The reason we were heading towards divorce in the first place was because of you too, David added, his voice unwavering. That's a cruel thing to say, David, his mother retorted. I was thinking only of Jessica, David shot back. You belittled her constantly and forced her to endure those awful tea parties where she was treated like a servant. How is that considering her? She's not your personal maid. She's my beloved wife. Because of you too. Our life together has been a disaster. Stay out of our relationship. As we packed up for the move, I received a message from David. I'm really sorry for everything. I've decided to cut ties with my parents. I had previously doubted David's love because he never seemed to help out before. Reading his heartfelt message nearly brought me to tears. I was their only child, so I thought they'd be lost without me. I owed them for raising me, which is why I stayed silent for so long. But I've reached my breaking point. I'm severing ties. Don't come near Jessica and me ever again, he wrote. Is that how you talk to your parents? His mother protested. People who hurt my beloved wife don't get to call themselves parents, David responded firmly. Don't say that. I'll try to improve my relationship with Jessica, his mother pleaded. I didn't trust her words at all. Despite David's firm stance, she continued to claim she would improve her behavior. Do you want to hear this? I asked, opening a voice memo on my phone. I played a recording of the derogatory comments my mother-in-law had made, with a few from my father-in-law. Their faces turned pale as they listened. If you try to approach us again, I'll take this to a lawyer. That's final. So please leave. And just so you know, we've already canceled the lease on this apartment, so showing up unannounced won't do any good, David declared, guiding his parents to the door. This confrontation marked the end of our prolonged struggle with my intrusive in-laws. Afterward, David focused on preparing for our move to the new house. Word of the situation spread through their community, and they became the subject of gossip. I discovered David had shared the details with a few close friends to prevent his parents from overstepping again. I hadn't considered that, and it almost made me give David a standing ovation. As for us, David and I reconciled, resubmitted our marriage license, and were joyfully back together. The strategy one had in mind worked perfectly. We are now comfortably settling into our dream home. Despite the initial anxiety over the significant investment, living here happily with David has made it all worth it. And then, to our delight, I discovered I was pregnant. Our future as a family of 3 in this house is within reach. Although challenges lie ahead, we are committed to being good parents and learning from the mistakes of David's parents.